Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, students, whenever you're watching this video. This is Mr. McRitchie, and this is your introduction to my class. Welcome, all second semester students, to AP Macroeconomics. In this video, you're going to get a quick overview of what the class entails, some sort of rules and expectations, a brief little overview of what the AP exam is going to look like so you know what to expect and what not to expect, stuff like that. And then a little bit of an introduction into the topic of economics. Nothing too crazy, not a lot. This would be first day stuff. I'm going to keep it kind of plain and simple. For those of you that are remote students and quarantining students, you will also receive direct instruction on what to do each day in this video, so please pay attention very carefully for those instructions. Normally in this sort of like first day lesson, I would have a nice like healthy bell ringer and then a large chunk of like icebreakery activities to have students get to know each other and to have them get to know me. I'll go through some of those questions so you guys can get to know me, but I can't exactly ask you to like bounce back and forth with me on this. So just as a heads up of who is your teacher and who are you dealing with, my name is Mr. McRitchie. I went to Byron Nelson High School and graduated from here back in 2012. I then went to the University of North Texas, majored in social sciences, got my teaching certification, and then came right back here and started teaching. That was not exactly the plan. My goal was like, I want to be at Byron forever. It's just I did my student teaching here, and then they offered me a job, and it's a pretty good paying district. So, all right, I'm not going to say no to that. And then Byron's a pretty good school, so didn't have much to complain about there. Just wasn't. Don't imagine that I'm the guy who like wears his Letterman jackets everywhere because I just loved this high school so much. It's like, no, I liked it. It's a good school, but like I'm not that guy. I am from Southern California. I was born in San Diego. We moved out to Texas back when I was in like the fifth grade. Yes, fifth grade. My mom is from South Africa originally, and my dad is from South Carolina, so his is a little more boring than my mom's. But that makes my life very weird and interesting. My dad was in the Marine Corps, so we moved around a bunch, lived in California and Hawaii before living here. Some of you are like, that's a trade down. It's like, it's less visually appealing, but it is much more affordable. And then the next bit of questions, oh god, what else do I have here? I like to travel a lot. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a very nerdy person. I teach economics. That should have been kind of obvious that I'd be a nerdy guy. You just judge based off appearances there, guys. You're going to kind of nail it. I have a dog. Where is he? Archer, come here. Archer, where'd you go? Where is he? There he is. Okay, come here. You gotta go on camera. Come on. Oh, boy, he hates getting picked up. Come here. Can you see him on camera right now? Yes, you can. There he is. Look at him run away. That's Archer. He's amazing. He's a great dog. I love him very much. Oh, cool. He's in a perfect spot. Let me just angle myself so you can see him still. Yes. Perfect. Okay. He's a great dog. Love him. Awesome dog. Archer is his name again. On AP exam day, in person, I do bring my dog or outside the school on AP exam day so you guys can meet him. So there's a thing to look forward to as long as you stay with the AP exam stuff. I do want to show you something that is important to me, which is something that I typically draw up with the students, but I had sort of like a basic default one, which is a class contract, sort of what my class entails. I want our activities to be meaningful and fun. Fun is harder, I will tell you that. Fun is generally harder. I can guarantee you that they're all going to be meaningful. I don't believe in busy work. I don't believe in unnecessary assignments. Anything that I give you to do, it's because it has been proven time and time again in my class that you doing that helps you do it better. Okay? Nothing is sort of a waste of time. I don't give you things to do just because I need you to do them. I give you things to do because it will help you learn how to do it better. Whether that's for the AP exam or to have a better understanding of how the world works, one of those two things will at least matter to you. The assignments are always going to be manageable. I time how long it takes for me to get through them, and then I add like 15 minutes because I work kind of fast and I know economics really well. So our assignments are meant to be able to be done in about 45 minutes, a normal class period. I'm going to bring lots of energy and enthusiasm. If you can't tell, I already talk way too fast. That's just my normal speaking tempo. So I apologize for that, but I talk really quickly. So keep up. Humor, I'm okay. Like, I'm kind of funny, but it could be a laughing at me thing. That's fine. I don't really care. But yeah, humor, it's a thing. Sure, I'll try. I mean, I'm not going to like actively try and do stand-up in front of you because that would be terrible. Varied instruction with some group work. You will have the opportunity to work as individuals or with groups for most of our formative assignments. Most of our like practices, you have the freedom and ability to work with other people on if you want. I'm not going to hold that against you. When I was in high school, whenever I had homework for like calculus or physics, there was always like a group of like 5 or 6 of us at a lunch table that would be like grinding it out and asking each other for clarification and help and stuff. That was very normal. So I expect that to happen in my class too. You can absolutely work together for that kind of stuff. You don't have to, so if you hate other people, you're also fine. Clear expectations. You will know my curve for tests whenever we do the tests. I'll tell you. I'll tell you how it works. I'll tell you what each grade means. I'll tell you all that stuff. I do curve the tests, in case you're wondering. But it's not in a way to like make your grade feel invalid. It's to make your grade match your AP exam score. I use the AP curve. Student input is valued absolutely. If you have a problem or a question, just ask me. I don't treat it as disrespect. You guys are a part of this classroom as much as I'm a part of this classroom. I need you guys to learn and me to teach. And if you have suggestions that'll help you learn better, yes, please suggest them. Absolutely. It does not bother me. Okay? If you are having a family emergency, then you tell me. I mean, this is probably the most troubling time for the majority of you guys with all of the COVID stuff. So if you're going to have an issue with that kind of thing and you need to let me know because it's going to mess up your ability to do stuff, yeah, let me know. We can try and work around it. Respect, yes, mutual respect is important. I will respect you as long as you put in the work to make it so that I'm not wasting my time. In other words, the way you show respect to me is by doing what I ask. You can do it at your pace, kind of, but in terms of like if I ask you to do a thing and you're actively not doing stuff the entire time, that's going to bother me, and I'm going to treat that as disrespect. Because it means you're not taking my instructions or advice or ideals seriously. If you did that at your job, you would get reprimanded for that. Okay, so treat it like it's your workplace and you'll be just fine. And then structure and organization. I've got a calendar on my Moodle, the little like week at a glance thing at the very top of it. Feel free to scroll through that to see what's going to happen. The class is fairly easy to understand. For the majority of days in my class, it'll go lecture, practice, lecture, practice. Not every other day, but like we'll lecture over content and practice that topic. And then we'll have a test. I'm not going to keep it not going to make it very complicated for you guys, especially for those of you guys that are remote. It'll be very easy to follow along what we're doing each day. You're not going to get like blindsided by something weird that you have no idea how to handle. There will always be something relatively, not say easy, but relatively manageable for you to do. Oh boy. There we go. So there's sort of like your class contract stuff that I always try to make sure the kids understand about like what it's like to be in my class each day. I want to always give that to you guys as a heads up. So now I can go over to this. Apologies, I haven't used my YouTube channel in like 3 weeks, so I'm all thrown off. The basic introduction to the class, which I will do like the content stuff, is this is an AP class, guys. You chose to take an extra AP class here at the end. So that is a thing you got to sort of reckon with. I'll give you the bit of the instructions to make you feel a little bit better, because this AP exam, I think, is structured in a way that is actually kind of nice. So here's the good news. Multiple choice questions, yeah, there are those. There's 60 questions, you've got 70 minutes, it's 2/3 of your test score. Hey! That means the written portion is only going to be 1/3 of it. And here's the best part. There's no essay. No essays here. Your writing ability will not be judged in AP Macroeconomics. This is not a writing-based class. So DBQs, no. The argumentative essay thing for government, not in here. God, all those other essays that you have to do for like WAP and for A-Push or even for on-ramps classes where they make you write like research papers or 5-pagers or anything like that. Nope. Your writing ability will not be judged here. Your ability to write a thesis will not be judged here. You will have to write in like complete sentences for the free response questions, but that's not too hard, I think. So you'll have 3 total FRQs, 1 long one. The way to sort of reckon that is like if you imagine like a free response question where it's like part A, part B, part C, part D of the question where you have to answer all these different parts. A long FRQ might go to like part G. So it's like a 7 to 8 part question. That sounds like it's a lot. It's really just 8 sort of like questions that are kind of like linked together chronologically. It's fine. And then 2 shorter FRQs, like 4 to 5 part questions. That are a total of 1/3 of your test score. So technically speaking, you could get no points on the FRQ if you got a 100 on the multiple choice, which wouldn't happen, but you know, if you did, you would pass the AP exam. That's good to know. It's May 10th. It's at noon. It's an afternoon exam. That is also very nice. It is one of the later exams, so there's a chance, I think, only if you're taking like stat or one of the weird language classes, this will probably be your last AP exam. So that's a good thing to know. Now, thing I have to warn you guys about, because this is especially important for you second semester students that are coming from AP Gov to AP Macro. This class is way harder than AP Gov was for you guys. Both in terms of content and in terms of like using your reviews on tests and stuff like that. Like, I'm a different teacher than Mr. Stembers, so be very careful about that. On the scale of AP exam difficulties, this AP exam has a similar pass rate to AP Physics 1. It's like 51%. For context, like I think the Gov 1 is like a 55% pass rate on average, something like that. So it's like marginal, but it's still harder. This is not as hard of a class as physics or as calculus. I took all of these classes in high school. I can tell you right now, this is not as bad as those other classes. But it is tricky for a lot of students. They have problems in this class because this class is not a history class. It's more math than history. You have to have some fundamental math skills. There's no calculator allowed in the AP exam for this class. So like, you have to be able to multiply and divide things without a calculator. It might have been a long time since you've done that. That's entirely possible, but you're going to kind of need to do it. You're going to need to be able to do some fractions and some decimals, like percentages stuff. It's not daunting. There is no math prereq requirement for this. So the expectation is a 9th grader with 9th grade level math skills would be fine in here. But some of you guys have been out of practice for math for a year or two now, or have been actively trying to avoid math at every step and turn. If that's you, you're going to want to be kind of careful here. Additionally, when it comes to dropping this class, you basically only have about 2 weeks to drop it, because second semester they're under more of a time crunch in the counseling department of getting people into classes and the right classes and stuff. So if you want to get out of AP Macro and go down to on level, which you are allowed to do, it doesn't affect AP Gov at all, then you can, but make sure you do it like pretty quickly. If this video freaks you out, if this class starts to freak you out in the first couple of days, then you might need to switch down a level. That's okay. It's just warning you on that. And the last bit of thing to sort of like try and warn you about is you do need economics credit to graduate high school. Same with government. You need credit for those two classes to graduate, meaning you have to have a 70 or higher in this class at the end of the semester, or you do not graduate high school. Like, you need X amount of credits to graduate high school. One of those credits has to be a semester of economics. If you don't pass this class, you don't get that credit. So you have to pass this class. For the majority of students, that is not entirely difficult. I make passing this class a very doable thing. As long as you do your work on time, and if you fail a test, retake it, you should have no issues passing. But kids have problems doing those two things. Kids have a lot of problems turning assignments in on time. I give you plenty of time to do it. Some of you guys are just very bad at time management and prioritizing things. And then some kids fail the test and are like, I know I got a 60, but I'm just not going to retake it, even though you can retake it up to an 80, which you should definitely do, because you need these points on these summatives to make sure that you actually pass the class. So please be very, very careful about the fact that your grade in this class matters a lot. Not for GPA and class rank purposes. That stuff is mostly done at this point, and will be done by the end of the semester for sure. But you need it in order to take care of yourself for the purposes of graduating, which is a whole thing that you care about. If you want to go to college, you're going to need your high school diploma, and you don't get it if you fail this class. So be very careful about that. Now, that all being said, you will have plenty of opportunities to pass this class. A lot of our formative assignments are things that you can work together on. Like, I allow for students to work together on our practices, which is the bulk majority of our formatives. You can work together. I give an entire class period for those, and then they're due like the following day, so you'll have plenty of time. Students can ask me questions over the practice, like, hey, did I do this right? Or, hey, is this the right answer? And I can easily tell them no or yes, and if the answer was no, I can show them how to do it. Like, I am very collaborative when it comes to working on just daily grade assignments. I don't treat those as life or death. So please, please, please take advantage of that. If you want to FaceTime your friends that are in person, and if you're a remote student, while we're doing a practice, and ask them, like, hey, can we work on this practice together with my friend who's remote and we're FaceTiming? Yes, totally fine with that. Does not bother me at all. When I was in high school, I worked with my friends on physics homework a lot, so I totally get that idea. You can work together on those practices. For the tests, we have reviews, actually 2 of them. a review that's like a hard copy, like standard style review of like, here's the vocab you need to know, some formulas, etc., stuff you need to know. And then a practice test that I put on AP Classroom that is effectively a mock of the test. It is questions I didn't use for the test but could have, that covers the exact right concepts and topics for the test. If you do both of those things, you get a +5 on the test. I give you like 5 days to take care of that outside of school, and I give you 1 day of class to work on those things. Plenty of things to do to help you improve your test score. Students who do the reviews average, I think, 17 points higher than students who don't. So now I have a majority of my students do the reviews, so do them. And if you need to retake a test, I apply the extra credit, the 5 points from the review, onto the retake as well. So you can actually get up to an 85 when you retake a test for my class because of that. So all of those things are very helpful for your grade. So even though your grade matters a lot, it is very doable to get your grade into a passing spot. Just effectively do what I ask you to do, and you won't have any issues there. And even though I don't know any of you yet, I have not met you, have not taught you, I am fairly sure you guys can take care of this. I have yet to meet students who I think are completely incapable of passing my class. There is always a path for them to do it. It's just a matter of, are they willing to put in any level of work? That becomes the issue. Okay. For those of you that are in person, you need to have a journal, name, period, AP Econ on it. If you're a remote student, I recommend having a journal. Having hard copy physical notes is super helpful here. There's a lot of things that you need practice writing down, drawing down, doing. It's like math. It's like a math class in that you can watch a math teacher do a formula on the board until your eyes bleed. You won't know how to do it until you're actually doing it. So writing it down will help you understand that concept a lot better. Trust me. Textbook. We don't ever use it, really. There is textbook for AP Economics. It is in the textbook room on the 3rd floor. You can grab one if you want it. It's not a required thing because reading economics is very difficult. I'll tell you, somebody who took advanced classes in econ, just reading books over it is not helpful for classroom purposes. Helpful for like understanding how the world works, not helpful for like test questions, stuff like that. It does have additional practice, which is nice. That's sort of the benefit of the textbook. It does have good additional practice questions you can use to get extra reps. If you're a person who needs lots of repetition to do things well, grabbing the textbook isn't a bad idea. But there is never going to be any requirement for you to use a textbook. For technology purposes in my class, you need to have a Chromebook charged, ready to go each day. There's a chance we pull up AP Classroom every now and then. We'll use it for test days for sure, but we might use it on other days for like reviews or practice questions and things that I think are really useful, like FRQs. I would be delivering those digitally to you, not physically because of COVID spread. So most things will be delivered digitally, so you need to have a Chromebook or laptop charged, ready to go each day, or at least bring your charger each day so that you can charge it while you're working. That's fine. Okay. For those of you that are remote students, this is the most important slide of the thing. For those of you that are not remote students, this is also going to matter a lot in case you have to quarantine, which is very possible. So, if you are a remote student, you are going to receive an email at the beginning of each week detailing what we're going to do each day and what you need to be doing that week. I'm giving like a quick little like, here's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday's plan. Here are any assignments you might have on those days, when they're due, etc. Okay? So your day will follow one of two possible sort of just branches, sort of paths for the day. Option one, for the most part, this will be the vast majority of our days, called normal days. You need to go on to Moodle and complete the attendance check for that day. Okay? Those days will have attendance checks. It's just a quick little question over that day's concept or topic. It'll be something usually from like the first 5 minutes of the notes for that day. And it'll also include instructions for what to do that day. Like, hey, you need to be watching this video on my YouTube channel, which I'll explain in a second, or working on a practice assignment. One of those two things will be what you're doing most days. You need to do the attendance check. It is how you get marked present. You need to be doing it before or during your class period, because that's when I'm checking for you to be doing it. If you don't have it done during that class period, I will mark you absent. If you do it during the day at some point, I can go back and change that to a present. It's just kind of a hassle for me to have to do that. So please do these attendance checks before or during your class period. They will close each day. So if you don't do it for a day, I apologize, but you will be marked absent for that day. I have had students last semester who were really bad at this and are having to do a lot of makeup hours because they just refused to do the attendance checks, which are not hard. They are not. They are very easy. Now here's why I'm doing them. Zooming in each day is kind of a hassle for me to operate at the school and for you guys to do from home, especially on days where you don't really need to be in a Zoom call for stuff. Like a practice day, you don't need to be in a Zoom for that. Or a day where I'm doing like a bunch of bell ringery practicey things. Zoom isn't really conducive for you guys there. I can, but that just seems unnecessary. And a lot of you guys, I had a lot of students last semester who were like trying to work to help their families because their parents got laid off, and they were going remote so that they could work more hours at their job. Was sort of the reasoning why they were going remote. So for that, I wanted to create a more asynchronous plan, a thing that you guys could do more at your own pace, and that's how you get the normal day thing here. Because as opposed to Zooms, what I do and what you're seeing sort of right now as an example is I record my lessons in lecture format on video at home using my pretty good recording equipment. I've got a 1080p camera, I've got a pretty good standing mic, I've got a decent setup for my computer, and I record all of my lessons, all of my lectures, all of the like things you need to hear from me to explain stuff for the class. I record all of those and I put them on my YouTube. I try to keep those videos about the length of a class period, so 45 minutes is about the max for those videos. But they're the full lecture. I cover the entire thing here. So you'll be asked to, like, say, for Thursday of this week, we have a chunk of notes over, like, the basics of the class. What you'll be asked to do that day is complete the attendance check, which will have a quick little question from, like, one of the beginning slides of that PowerPoint, effectively. You'll be asked to watch that video, which you kind of have to do to get the answer for the attendance check anyway. And you watch it sort of at some point in that day. It's 45 minutes, roundabout. Sometimes it'll be shorter than that because I might be able to do like a lesson in a shorter amount of time since I don't have to like do a bell ringer or don't have to fill time while students like log into a thing, since you can just pause the video, stuff like that. But watching those videos will be crucial for you. Additionally, if you're not a quarantine or remote student, here's the nice thing. If you end up missing a day of school for whatever reason, if you are sick for a day, if you have to go to the doctor or if you have to go to the dentist or something and you miss a day of class or something, cool. The lesson for yesterday, I recorded it in video form. It's on my YouTube channel. Watch it. The YouTube channel is Mr. McRitchie BNHS. It is linked at the top of my Moodle. If you're a remote student, I do recommend subscribing just so that you get notifications of when the videos go live and stuff, so that you can see what's happening ahead of time. It is useful for that. And I'll also be using that channel to do review videos for the AP exam for primarily my first semester students, but you guys can absolutely watch those too. Not a problem. So yeah, that channel will be crazy helpful. The other day you get is a test day, and this is a change from last semester because we had students who obviously abused the system when it came to being remote on things like a summative. On a formative, I don't particularly care because I don't really do very many quizzes, so there wasn't any stress for me there. But on test days, there were some definite students who were like, okay, I'm pretty confident you cheated. I can't prove it, so I got to try and change things up. So you will have to be on a Zoom on test days. I will make the test days very apparent for you ahead of time. I typically give students at least a week, if not a week and a half, heads up on a test. Like, you will know about tests as soon as I can put it in my calendar, which is pretty quickly ahead of time. Like, I'm pretty sure our first test will be like 3 weeks from Wednesday. Pretty sure. Unless something weird happens, that's probably what's going to happen. So you will know what day it is. You need to log into the Zoom call during your class period for that day. Have your camera on because I'm going to need to be able to see what you're doing. You can't have your phone I need to be able to see your phone at all times while you're taking the test. It needs to be face down and visible on camera. So maybe you have to tilt your camera a little bit low. That's fine. Or you show me putting your phone and just like chucking it 45 feet behind you. That will also work. Okay. And you'll have to take the test on AP Classroom that way. You will be receiving a modified test version compared to the people that are in person. Basically, you get different questions, but same topics, so that in case any of you are able to do any kind of chicanery, it doesn't impact anybody that's in person, which is helpful. And the questions shuffle for each student, so even if you try and collaborate, you're going to have to do a lot of piecemeal, and there's a timer, so it's going to make things very hard for you. If you go over the time, I take points off. A lot of points off. If you go over the time by over a minute, you lose 15 points per minute. So good luck. I wouldn't bother trying to cheat on this stuff. Okay, so test days will be the only sort of like different day for our remote learners, for you quarantine kids, any of you guys like that. Just be aware on a test day, you're going to have to log into a Zoom call. I'll give you you guys know how to log into Zooms at this point. I'll have all the information for you on those days when we get to them, but be aware of that, all that stuff. Okay, economics. Here's just sort of like mini lesson at the end of this video. We're nearing at the end of the video now. So, economics. Here's sort of your basic introduction to the course. Here's your quick little synopsis of what you've signed up for. Economics is the study of choices. It's how we choose. And it's the study of choices we make because of one critical concept. So the full definition is, economics is the study of the choices that we make due to scarcity. Because things are limited, because things are scarce, because things are not infinite, we have to choose. Can we use this clean water for drinking, or for cleaning, or for our toilet, or whatever? It matters because it's limited. There isn't an infinite amount of water. Like, boom, supply of water has just gone down. I've just drank it. It's become more scarce now. Okay, we have to make choices of what to do with things. Now, the reason why most of you guys associate economics with money is because money is a medium of exchange. It's a way to make choices. There are some things I can and can't choose to do based on money. I have enough money to go get lunch, say, at a fast food restaurant, but I'm not going to necessarily go to like a steakhouse for lunch on a Sunday because I'm a teacher and that's kind of crazy because the cost is very high. Cool. That's me choosing, me making a choice. And every time you make a choice, there's a cost. Not just like the actual fiscal cost of it, like the actual money, but there's the cost of an opportunity. That every time you choose to do one thing, you have actively chosen to not do another thing. Me going to a fast food restaurant means I have, one, chosen not to like make lunch at home like a reasonable, smart person, and also that I didn't choose to go to any other restaurant. So there is always this other opportunity I could have had. There's always this trade-off. There's this other thing I could have done. In economics, we sort of study that. What makes people do one or the other is more about something called behavioral economics. So that's more of like actual choices in day-to-day life. That's not money tied to all the time. There is microeconomics, which is a study of choices made by smaller entities, like individuals and individual businesses and people like that. So why would one business lower the price of their goods as like a tactic against other businesses? Things like that, that's microeconomics. And what you guys have signed up for, in case you don't know, is macroeconomics. And macroeconomics is the study of big picture choices by large entities like governments and countries and industries as a whole, not a corporation, but like the entire oil market as opposed to just one oil producer, okay? It's how those gigantic entities interact. So the cool thing with this class is that you are going to learn a lot about current events no matter what. Every single example I give, I can pull from a headline. It's very easy. I can explain things like the stimulus checks that have been going out, why the government should or should not be doing them, what are the benefits and the costs of it, how does it affect you, how might it not affect you at all. All that stuff is stuff that I can very easily explain as a part of the class, which is awesome. Okay, I can also go into things like international trade and why going into a trade war with China has particular costs and benefits and what those benefits and costs are depending on what good we're doing and how we're doing the trade war. Stuff like that. That's all things you can learn in this class, which is awesome. Because there are a lot of times when you're like watching a newsreel or just sort of scanning Reddit or wherever you get your news, and you're just sort of scanning and you see like a thing that says something about like the Federal Reserve does blank to interest rates. And you're like, what the hell does that mean? You're going to learn what that means in this class. You're going to learn that, like, hey, when they lower interest rates, they just made loans cheaper for everybody, including you guys who might be going to college next year and getting a student loan. So, like, hell, that's going to matter a lot. And you're going to see a lot of that stuff in this class, which is very, very, very cool. Now, the first unit is a lot of basics, a lot of foundational pieces, a lot of like, hey, price versus cost. There is a difference. What is it? Supply and demand. A very basic concept, but one that is critical you understand for the rest of the big picture stuff to make sense. So for the first unit, we're going to be a little bit more zoomed in, a little more compact. But as soon as we get out of the first unit, we go into like GDP, inflation, unemployment rate, big number things that are easy to tell how our economy is doing, how everything is going in our country, and how all that stuff works. So we're going to be going into crazy depths on a lot of things. Again, I want to make sure you guys understand, while this is a social studies class, it is very much not a history class. Okay, there will be no real memorization of dates in this class. Presidents won't really matter, and names, frankly, won't even really come up. It'll all be about choices and the logic of those choices, the costs and the benefits of those choices, and the consequences thereof. There's a ton of cause and effect in this class. In fact, I could go like crazy conspiracy board on the back of the wall in my classroom and just make like this terrifying like spider web of connections between things in our class. That when X changes, it changes Y, which changes Z, which changes A, B, C, D, E. E changes A also, which then also changes F. And you're like, oh, it's going to be a lot of like crazy connectivity. So you're going to want to be able to zoom out a lot. If you're good at thinking big picture, this class is going to be awesome. If you're very focused and zoomed in on things, a little bit more obsessive compulsive, then you might have a hard time picking up on some of the large stuff near the end of the course. This first unit, though, should be relatively doable for everybody. The first unit is, under most students' assumption, the easiest one. Because, again, we're starting with small stuff. We're starting with relatively simple concepts, like the ideas of scarcity, which is, again, what economics is based around. The idea that all resources are finite, that no matter who you are, stuff is limited and you've got to choose. Even Jeff Bezos, who is the richest man in the world right now, the owner of Amazon, wealth is in the hundreds of billions at this point, he's got to make choices. He can't do everything he wants to do because there's at least one resource that is always going to be finite for him. Time. Can't do everything you want to do because there's not enough time. You guys have struggle with choices all the time. Like, some of you, the simple choice of just waking up in the morning to like go to school is a choice you actually have to make. Some of you are like, I can hit the snooze button like 6 more times. My parents have already gone. I'm the only one here at my house. No, I can't. I'm going to go to school. Like, things like that, making that choice. Some of you guys are having more stressful ones, like what to do after high school, college, you choose, all of those things. This class is not going to necessarily always help you with like that specific choice, but it's going to help you understand the mechanics of choice as a whole. So it might make you more conscious to thinking about the actual costs and the actual benefits of doing a thing. Like, not just picking a school because you like the school, but have no actual, like, real functional reasoning behind it. Like, this class is going to encourage you to think a little bit more on that stuff. So that's the nice part. I do think this class is crazy interesting. I think it's incredibly practical for you guys because, frankly, you never learned this stuff yet, which is kind of wild. We don't go into the stock market here. Sadly, that is a microeconomics topic, but it is not the biggest deal. You'll still be able to figure out how markets work very easily in this class, which will apply to the stock market. Okay, we will cover things like the foreign exchange, which includes currency conversions. So I'll tell you how to become rich in another country, which is pretty cool, and stuff like that. There's your like sort of like brief, I'd say like that was like a 6-7 minute overview of the class. But yeah, you're going to get a whole bunch out of this stuff. As long as you pay attention and put in the work, you're going to get a lot out of this class. The less work you do, the less you pay attention, the less you're going to get out of this. But trust me when I say this class is chock full of crazy practical information. Super useful stuff to have all the time. Okay, let me go back to the camera. Okay. There's your sort of first day of class lesson. There's your little quick lecture on the instructions of the class, what you have to do each day. Remember, remote students, you need to be going onto my Moodle each day and completing the attendance check. And then keep an eye out for test days and be ready to log into Zoom on those days so that you can take the test and have me be able to be like, cool, you're not cheating? Sick. You shouldn't really need to cheat on most of our tests. Not that they're the easiest thing in the world, but based on the reviews, the practices, the notes, and all that stuff, students have the ability to score well on it. It's not a class where the highest score on a test is going to be like an 87. No, I have students who score 100s on our tests, okay? That's with a curve still, but I treat that as a real 100. So, all those things being said, thank you very much for watching this video. Wish you all the best of luck, and see you next time.